you think of the most venomous animal in the world, what comes to mind? Is it the saw-scaled viper, the box jellyfish, or maybe the Indian red scorpion? Though all very dangerous, if you guessed any of those, you're wrong. The answer may surprise you. Yes, this odd-looking mollusk is the most venomous animal alive. It's called the cone snail, and while a snail may seem like an anticlimactic answer, it should not be underestimated. The venom of a single cone snail can potentially kill up to 700 people. Yikes! So how does it hunt? What happens if you get stung by one? And how is its venom used in medicine? There are over 1,000 species of cone snail that vary in size and appearance. Watch out for them if you're ever in Australia's Great Barrier Reef or off the coasts of Hawaii and California. They live in coral reefs and burrow in the shallow sand, emerging at night to hunt. Most of the time, the cone snail is slow and motionless. Should its favorite prey swim by, this sharpshooter will spring into action. Various species of cone snails will utilize different hunting tactics. They also make their own unique venom concoction depending on the prey they prefer. This can be worms, mollusks, or fish. The cone snail is a master of hook and line hunting. This involves it extending its proboscis to smell an unsuspecting meal. Then, nearly as fast as a bullet, it shoots out its harpoon-like tooth called a radula. In the blink of an eye, it skewers its prey at speeds exceeding 400,000 meters per second squared. The radula are attached to the venom gland, which pumps its catch full of toxins. Once the prey stops moving, the proboscis retracts into the snail's stomach. With its net hunting technique, it'll first engulf the prey in its proboscis and then shoot the radula inside its mouth. When hunting a school of fish, the cone snail releases insulin in the water. This hormone, which instantly drops blood sugar, will enter a fish's gills and make them sluggish. The cone snail will then snatch the comatose fish. If it's a species of cone snail that prefers worms, it'll release a pheromone-like chemical made by female worms. This lures in male worms looking for a date who will unfortunately find a hungry cone snail instead. Cone snail venom contains conotoxins that can shut down the muscles and nerve cells, leading to paralysis and death. Each creature can carry over 100,000 types of conotoxins, which is why it's impossible to create antivenom against it. Should you be stung by a deadly cone snail, you would first feel a burning sensation similar to a bee sting. Milder symptoms include fatigue, sweating, and changes to your vision. But depending on the potency of the venom, you could experience muscle paralysis, heart failure, or possibly fall into a coma. The sooner you get medical help, the better your chances are of surviving. Death can occur anywhere between 1 to 5 hours after the initial sting. While cone snails can and have killed humans, 36 to be exact, they will not hunt you. Fatalities are often from accidental encounters with beachgoers and scuba divers. Ironically enough, their deadly venom is being used in the name of medicine. In 2004, a painkiller called Prialt was released in the U.S. It blocks the pain signals in the spine, providing relief from chronic pain without the use of addictive opioids. Prialt's secret ingredient is conopeptide, the pain-killing conotoxin that the fish-eating cone snails inject into their prey. Scientists are also researching the snail's insulin. The insulin our pancreas makes takes about 30 minutes to lower blood sugar, while the snail's is instant. By combining snail and human insulin, scientists hope to create a more effective diabetes treatment. Yikes! Here's a snake that's had a taste of its own medicine. It's not every day a snake like this falls into the web of one of nature's most lethal spiders. This snake has hissed its last hiss. That was a lot of S's. Black widow spiders are one of nature's most terrifying killers. But there's another deadly spider that could give the black widow spider a run for its money: the Sydney funnel web spider. Which spider is deadlier? Which is more likely to attack you? Brace yourself, we've got all the incy-wincy details on these creepy crawlies. Found in dry, temperate regions on all continents except South America and Antarctica, you could run into a black widow spider in places besides forests and deserts. It also likes the dark corners around your home. Remember that as you consider a black widow spider's venom is 15 times more poisonous than that of a rattlesnake. Funnel web spiders, on the other hand, are drawn to cool and moist sheltered areas in the Australian highlands. This 2-centimeter spider's fangs are sharp enough to pierce through your toenails and fingers. At 1.3 centimeters wide, black widow spiders are smaller, but their venom is still lethal. Packed with a distinct toxin that can cause paralysis, a black widow spider's venom takes 30 to 40 minutes to kick in. A funnel web spider's venom has a neurotoxin that enters your bloodstream and causes rapid firing of nerve cells. You experience pain within 28 minutes of the bite.
Get off me, you!
And if you're having an especially bad day, you could even be dead in as little as 15 minutes. Through some evolutionary accident, a funnel web spider's venomous bite is dangerous only for invertebrates or primates, including humans. Well, at least the family dog or cat will be spared the worst of it. So which spider is the bigger threat to you and I? The black widow is by far the deadliest spider in North America. But if we look at the total number of bites and human deaths caused by a spider, the funnel web is at the top of the list. Funnel web spiders are also the more aggressive of the two, especially the males. A black widow spider is a lot harder to provoke. It usually avoids confrontation and is even known to ration its venom when biting. Although its venom is more potent than that of a rattlesnake, its small body can only produce so much of it. Its venom is more likely to affect children and the elderly. The shiny black body of the black widow spider with its iconic red hourglass mark on its abdomen may be synonymous with danger.
Danger! Danger!
But it's the funnel web spider that is truly creepy. Unlike other spiders, it weaves its web flat against the ground. It hides in a silken burrow in this web that opens into a funnel-like tube, and it has 8 eyes arranged in 2 rows. Meanwhile, the one horrible thing you thought you knew about the black widow spider is not entirely true. It does not cannibalize its partner after mating, although it may eat its siblings just after hatching.
Oh, they think maybe I ate my twin?
So, there is that. But to put your spidery nightmares to rest, there are potent antivenoms available for both of these spiders' bites. There have also been no reports of death from a funnel web spider bite since 1980, and instances of death from a black widow spider's bite are also exceptionally rare. And you thought there was no good news. Is this the face of the real patient zero? How about this? We now know COVID-19 is a zoonotic disease. A virus jumped from an animal to humans. And while we're still unsure which animal might be the culprit, there are over 200 known zoonotic diseases to contend with. But are any of them deadlier than COVID-19? You better wash your hands before you bite those nails. Here's the top 5 deadliest zoonotic diseases. Number 5, COVID-19. Introduced to humans by an unknown animal, COVID-19 has brought the world to its knees. Humans are now passing this zoonotic disease to other mammals. The highly contagious COVID-19 virus has an affinity for cells with an enzyme called ACE2, found on the surface of human throat and lung cells. Other mammals also have the same enzyme, putting them at risk of infection. Cats, dogs, and gorillas could potentially catch COVID-19 from you. A pathogen like COVID-19 depends on keeping its infected host alive for it to continue spreading. It is expected to become an endemic disease, meaning some global regions will see a decline in cases. Despite its alarming death toll, approximately 340 million people have recovered from COVID-19. Number 4, HIV/AIDS. The HIV virus responsible for acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS, was spread to humans from chimpanzees, most likely because some of us were hunting and eating them. Once it found its new host home, the virus mutated into a strain unique to us. While some viruses persist by hiding and confusing our immune cells, the HIV virus has a more offensive strategy. It succeeds by rapidly destroying immune cells, leaving the body vulnerable to diseases that might otherwise be treatable. Passed on through the exchange of bodily fluids, HIV virus mutation rates are faster than any known virus. Today, vaccine trials are underway, and antiretroviral therapy, ART, are helping people to prevent and manage the virus better. Number 3, zoonotic influenza. The H1N1 influenza was initially spread from birds in 1918 and claimed 50 million lives in 2 years. This makes it the deadliest disease ever in terms of death rate. Much of this had to do with the outbreak starting during the early stages of World War I. Millions of civilians and troops traveling between the US, England, France, and Spain carried the virus with them. And quarantining people during a war was borderline impossible. All of this was complicated by medical professionals already being overwhelmed and difficulties getting the word out about safety measures in a pre-internet world. In 2009, H1N1 influenza was back. This time, we caught it from pigs, with 575,400 casualties as a result. Number 2, bubonic plague or Black Death. Sweeping across Europe, Northern Africa, and Asia, the Black Death wiped out nearly a quarter of the world's population in the 14th century. Victims experienced fever, chills, and in extreme cases, a painful swelling of the lymph nodes. The Yersinia pestis bacterium infects humans by hitching a ride on fleas that bite infected rodents. But it wasn't started by a rat infestation in Europe, as was the long-standing theory. New research has revealed that a likely culprit was global warming. Flea populations rose dramatically in response to rising temperatures in Central Asia in the 14th century. They carried the plague through the trade routes into Europe and Africa. The bubonic plague stuck around, surfacing periodically across Europe for another 300 years. It disappeared completely somewhere between 1665 and 1666 after the Great Plague of London. And number 1, malaria. At the top of the list is a disease that just won't quit. Malaria has likely been around since 1550 BCE, with ancient Egyptians recording the earliest symptoms of fever. Mosquitoes carry some 156 species of the malaria to birds, reptiles, and simians. Though traces of the simian version have been found in humans, we have our own dedicated strains of malaria to deal with. The malaria parasite uses mosquitoes to find its next victim. When a vector mosquito bites a human, the parasites replicate asexually. But some will reproduce sexually. These eventually attach themselves to the next mosquito that bites the infected human. And so the cycle continues. Once infected with malaria, your body odor changes to attract even more mosquitoes. Wow, that is one messed up disease. You wouldn't expect brainless blobs lurking in oceans across the globe to be dangerous. Well, guess again. These animals are literally heartless. Some can even kill you where you stand or swim. It's hard to believe anything that is 95% water can be considered a lethal weapon. When it comes to jellyfish and their eerily long tentacles, we've all heard stories of how painful their sting can be. Agonizing discomfort is one thing, but injecting toxins able to cause cardiac arrest is quite another. Why are certain jellyfish just as dangerous when they're dead? How large and small are these killers? Which of our 5 jellyfish is classified as the most venomous marine animal on Earth? Number 5. Kaboom! It's the cannonball jellyfish. Like all jellyfish, the cannonball variety are missing a heart, blood, and brain. Despite that, it's equipped with a central nervous system that enables it to smell and sense light. It's also capable of releasing a paralyzing toxin to immobilize its next meal, and has a sting packing enough of a punch to cause a heart attack. Steering clear of the cannonball jellyfish. Number 4, the fire jelly is a handful of hurt. Officially known as Morbaca furneri, we prefer its much cooler-sounding fire jelly nickname. It's only the size of your fist, but its tentacles can be up to 1 meter in length. Crossing paths with its stingers in the waters around Australia can leave you vomiting as you endure full-body spasms while you try to fight off complete respiratory failure. Think that's bad? You ain't seen or felt nothing yet. Wait till you see number 3. Beware anything named after a lion. Meet the colorful lion's mane jellyfish, all 37 meters of it. The largest jellyfish on the planet, and longer than a blue whale. It's over 2 meters wide and can have as many as 1,200 tentacles engineered to shock their prey to death. Those tentacles and their neurotoxins can cover a lot of territory, even after the lion's mane jellyfish is dead. Just ask the dozens of swimmers at a New England beach who found themselves being stung repeatedly by a lion's mane jellyfish's floating corpse. Number 2, Irukandji, the transparent assassin of Australia's oceans. They're the size of a sugar cube with tentacles 1 meter long. And these tentacles are laced with tiny harpoons that deliver deadly venom 100 times stronger than that of a cobra's in nanoseconds. This sting is so toxic, its life-threatening after effects have been christened Irukandji syndrome. There is no known anti-venom available, just a guarantee you're going to be headed to a hospital hoping your heart doesn't stop pumping. And finally, number 1, it swims faster than you. It can see. It's the sea wasp. There are 50 varieties of box jellyfish, but the most lethal of the bunch and their 24 light-sensitive eyes are found around northern Australia and the Indo-Pacific region. How lethal are they? The paralyzing venom of the sea wasp jellyfish is powerful enough to launch a simultaneous attack on your nervous system and vital organs. This sends you into almost instantaneous shock, followed by death within minutes. Have you had a painful close encounter with a jellyfish? Tell us in the comments below, so we can be afraid to go in the water forever. If you could combine a turkey, a peacock, and a dinosaur, you might get something that looks like this weird thing.
You are bizarre.
You might find them bobbing around in the rainforests of Australia and New Guinea. This is a cassowary.
You're weird.
And some people call it the most dangerous bird in the world. What makes the cassowary so dangerous? Is it related to dinosaurs? And what's that helmet-like thing on its head for? Don't make any sudden moves. We're getting up close with the feisty cassowary. The cassowary is an insular ratite, or simply put, a large flightless bird. It has a glossy black feathered body, a red neck wattle, and a bright blue face. 12,000 years ago, as humans began to evolve and adapt, most ratites had already gone extinct. The few that survive have exceptional grit. At 2 meters tall and weighing over 76 kilograms, the cassowary may not be the tallest or heaviest bird around. So what makes it the most dangerous bird in the world? A cassowary can leap up to 2 meters high with its muscular legs. That's about as tall as a horse. Its feet are equipped with 3 sharp, dagger-like talons. Yep, that'll do it for me. And the middle one can grow as long as 10 centimeters. When these angry, powerful creatures spring into the air, they can kick you with both feet at once. That blow could slice right through you, causing more than a few puncture wounds, bone fractures, and deep skin lacerations. But you would have to be extremely unlucky to get kicked by a cassowary. Usually, an angry cassowary will try to peck, headbutt, or charge you. The rest of the time, they like to mind their own business. These giant birds are shy and reclusive until you approach their young or enter their territory. Of the 221 known cassowary attacks, 150 have involved humans. And most of them happen because the humans seem to be refusing to give the bird food. Over the years, ill-advised humans have attempted to feed cassowaries. This has taught the bird to associate humans with food.
Stay very still, Dad.
This misunderstanding, coupled with shrinking habitat, is usually at the heart of cassowary attacks. But if you're still hell-bent on befriending a cassowary, you'll have to do better than throwing it some scraps off your barbecue. Unlike their ostrich cousins, cassowaries maintain their impressive bulk on a diet of rainforest fruit. That makes them the largest avian frugivore on the planet. Many species of rainforest trees would disappear without the cassowary helping their seeds to disperse. And if this bird keeps reminding you of this guy, there's an excellent reason why. Scientists are still working out the exact details of their evolutionary chain, but these big birds are the last living link to dinosaurs. The helmet-like casque on the head closely resembles that of a newly discovered dinosaur species, the Corythoraptor jacobsi. It's a modified cranial bone covered with keratin. That's the same protein our nails and hair are made of. They even seem to be putting it to the same use as their long-dead relatives did: communication. We now know that these birds use their cranial casques to capture and emit low-frequency sounds. Also used for socio-sexual displays, the cassowary's cranial casque is surprisingly flexible and leather-like to the touch. All right, who's been touching the cassowary's cranial casque? And although they're usually antisocial, cassowaries will hiss, rumble, or whistle at each other when absolutely necessary. But that's about as chatty as this bird ever gets. The only close relationship a cassowary ever has is with its father during the early part of its life. While the female cassowary walks out on her 3 to 5 eggs immediately after laying them, the male spends 60 days incubating them. Once they have hatched, young cassowaries learn the ropes from their father, following him around for up to 16 months. But that's a rare situation. Usually the father has had enough of the chicks after 9 to 10 months. Then he chases them off his territory.
Let's go, it's time to move out.
Rainforest trees aren't the only thing that depend on ancient birds like the cassowary. Do you know that ostrich antibodies could help fight COVID-19? We've got that covered too in another episode. From The Hobbit to Game of Thrones, dragons have long been a part of our lore. But some dragons don't live in fairy tales. They live on an island in Indonesia. And though they don't breathe fire, they're just as deadly as their mythical counterparts. Say hello to my little friend. Or rather, my huge, venomous friend. This is the mighty Komodo dragon. It's the largest, heaviest, and most deadly lizard in the world. So how big do they get? What makes them so deadly? And how do they hunt prey 5 times their size? Dun dun dun! Komodo dragons are indigenous to the Indonesian archipelago, which consists of about 17,000 islands. But you can only find these dragons on Komodo, Rinca, Gili Motong, and Gili Dasami, 4 islands in the Komodo National Park. They can thrive in a tropical savanna forest or beach climate and seldom explore too far beyond where they hatched. When fully grown, these reptilian beasts weigh up to 136 kilograms and grow as long as 3 meters. It's easy to see why early European explorers mistook them for crocodiles, but they're actually a type of monitor lizard. Although they aren't just any old monitor lizard, Komodo dragons are one of a kind because of their enormous size and their deadly venom. Don't piss these guys off. For decades, scientists suspected that the Komodo dragon's bite was deadly because of the 50 strains of bacteria in its saliva. This was challenged in 2009 by biochemist and microbiologist Brian Fry of the University of Queensland. He proposed that Komodo dragons have glands in their jaws that produce a toxin that lowers blood pressure, and it causes extreme hemorrhaging as the venom prevents the prey's blood from clotting. The lizard's serrated teeth create gaping wounds in their prey, often causing the animal to bleed out. And these dragons don't mind if their victims don't die right away. With their highly attuned forked tongues and sensory organs, Komodos can track their prey for days, and they can detect carrion from up to 10 kilometers away. Komodo dragons also have keen vision and can see up to 300 meters. And while they are sprinters that can run up to 20 kilometers per hour, they prefer to hunt by stealth, waiting for hours to ambush prey that crosses their path. When it comes to eating, dragons aren't picky. They're not only scavengers and hunters, but also cannibals, eating smaller dragons when necessary. Because of their sharp senses and reputation as opportunistic eaters, local communities bury their dead below the standard 1.8 meters, trying to keep these so-called grave robbers from feasting on families dearly departed. These ancient reptiles can eat up to 80% of their body weight in a single meal. That's like a 68-kilogram person eating 48 porterhouse steaks in one sitting. I mean, I like eating a lot, but that's a bit excessive. Psst, I've done it. Speaking of steak, Komodo dragons will sometimes hunt water buffalo, which are 5 times the lizard size at over 450 kilograms. They take down this large prey by using their own size to knock them over. Then they use their vicious teeth to bite and shred their victims. Though Komodos could easily take down a human, they rarely do. While attacks on humans do happen, they are infrequent. Usually, they happen to an unwary national park guard or an unlucky villager who's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And as easily as they can eat all that meat, they can purge it. When escaping predators, like humans or other Komodo dragons, they will vomit all their stomach's contents. It lightens their load, making them faster, and also probably grosses them out. That makes perfect sense to me. I can't imagine sprinting with 48 steaks in my stomach. Again, I've done it. Just like mythical dragons, these creatures strike fear into the hearts of many. But herpetologists, zoologists, and reptile enthusiasts see them differently. They are, after all, real-life dragons, and that's pretty dang cool. What's more terrifying than grabbing a tree branch and realizing it's a snake? It has got to be this flying snake heading straight for your face. Found in the forests of South and Southeast Asia, the flying snake is the only known limbless vertebrate that can fly. How are these snakes able to fly? Why would a snake need to fly? And what can we learn from flying snakes? Trust in me, and I'll bring you the answers. Wow, that was creepier than I planned. Sorry, guys. There are 5 known species of Chrysopelia, or flying snakes, and 4 of them can flatten their bodies into a ribbon-like wing and glide between trees. Flying snakes can grow to about 1.2 meters long. They eat birds, lizards, and other small animals, but you will never find this type of snake on the ground, making them harder to spot. Their name is a bit misleading as they aren't really flying. Technically, they're gliding through the air. And their flight speed and travel distance depend on how high a branch they launch from. The longest distance a flying snake can glide is about 7 meters. That happens when it's launching from a height of 75 meters, and the fastest it can speed along is 10 meters per second. An elongated tube-like body is not ideal for flying. So, to get airborne, a flying snake rotates its ribs forward and backward to flatten itself out. It's kind of like how a cobra opens up its hood. This allows the snake to ride the air and use gravity for acceleration. If you were lucky enough to see a flying snake up close, you'd notice that as the middle of its body flattens, it gets twice as wide. You might even see the bump of its heart under its skin. Sometimes you can even see undigested food lumps sticking out of its flat middle. A little less cool. But the tail remains rounded to get a good grip on the branch it's about to launch off. This is its usual launching off position. From here, the flying snake plunges the front of its body downward. Its head starts arcing upwards and its belly faces the side. It soars up and forward to rise above the branch. Reaching out into the air and arcing away from the branch, the snake will finally release its grip and swerve its belly 90 degrees toward the ground. This snake is now airborne. But sometimes a flying snake skips this artful launch-off. When fleeing a predator, it will slither sideways and nosedive straight off the branch. Can't say I blame them. But this type of takeoff doesn't let the snake travel too far and makes for a wonky flight. And then there's the challenge of staying airborne. To do this, the flying snake seems to be tapping into its basic reptilian instincts. It slithers through the air, like its cousins would on the ground. But it doesn't just undulate on a horizontal axis. It also makes small waves on a vertical plane throughout its body, making more stable flights over much longer distances. But why go through all this effort to fly? No one is entirely sure why these snakes took to the air, but if the behavior of other gliding animals is any indication, it's likely just a matter of catching prey, escaping predators, and good old common sense. I mean, if you're a tree dweller, you're better off learning to glide between the treetops. That's way more efficient than climbing all the way up and down trees. But could you get killed in a venomous snake air raid? Of all the species of flying snakes, C. ornata is the only one temperamental enough to strike at anything that moves. But no flying snakes have ever killed a human. People bitten by flying snakes report mild symptoms like pain, drowsiness, or headache, and usually recover fully within days. And luckily, there have been no instances of flying snakes landing on human faces or other body parts. If anything, the snake stands to lose its teeth and get an infection from biting a human. But these fascinating creatures have triggered scientific innovation. The flying snake's movement mechanics are inspiring the design of insect-sized drones. And robotics engineers are studying the flying snake's combination of horizontal and vertical undulation to help them build robots that can climb through rubble and up the sides of buildings. This could help search and rescue operations. If you haven't slithered away at the thought of these snakes flying at you, watch our episode about how pythons eat their prey whole. You will not believe what this python swallowed. Hippos are pretty cute, with their rotund bodies, short stubby legs, and sly smirks. Aww. But if you happen upon one, beware. They're one of the most fearsome animals in the world. Hippos may seem harmless, but they're far from it. In Africa, hippos kill around 500 people a year, making them twice as deadly as lions. They have a bite force of up to 12,600 kilopascals. A hippo could sever a person in two as easily as we can snap a chocolate bar. So what makes these seemingly gentle giants so deadly? What do they eat? And why is their poop so destructive? The hippopotamus is the second largest land animal on Earth, following the elephant. But surprisingly, they're more closely related to whales than they are to elephants. Male hippos measure about 3.5 meters long and 1.5 meters tall, and they can weigh up to 3,200 kilograms. That's as heavy as 3 small cars. And even at such an enormous size, they're pretty fast, running at speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour. These big animals also have big bites. Do you know that a hippopotamus can open its mouth 180 degrees? Their giant pink maws are filled with huge ivory tusks that can grow as big as 51 centimeters. You'd think that with mouths and teeth that big, they'd be man-eaters. But they're herbivores, feeding mostly on grass. So if all they eat is grass, why do they need those huge tusks and 180-degree mouths? To fight other hippos, of course. Hippos are extremely aggressive and territorial, which makes them dangerous to humans. Many hippo attacks and human deaths are caused by people entering hippos' territories, hunting them, or otherwise annoying them.
Well, look at this little fella. Hello there.
And while they won't eat you, they will take you out, especially if you aggravate them. So if you haven't figured it out already, it's best to steer clear of hippos. Unfortunately, the notorious Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar did not heed this advice. He famously kept hippos, giraffes, elephants, and other exotic animals on his estate in northwestern Colombia. When he was killed in 1993, the Colombian government seized all his assets. Most of his animals were transferred to zoos and aquariums, but his 4 hippos got into Colombia's waterways and multiplied. Good job, Pablo. Between 40 and 60 of their descendants currently live in Colombia, and they occasionally trample crops and charge at humans. Even worse, the hippos are contaminating Colombia's waterways with their toxic feces. Their poop creates algae blooms that reduce the oxygen available to fish and are threatening many native species. And although hippos are extremely dangerous to humans, we are much more deadly to them. Hippos are a threatened species. They used to live throughout all of sub-Saharan Africa, but now they are largely confined to protected areas in East African countries. And hundreds of hippos are shot each year to minimize human-wildlife conflicts, despite the fact that ditches or low fences easily deter them. Humans also kill them for their fat and their ivory tusks, which are in high demand. Even though they're big and mean, we don't want hippos to become extinct. And if you want to meet one in person, you can visit the Cincinnati Zoo and safely say hello to Fiona. Hello, Fiona. Who's a cute little hippo? Opening their mouths 180 degrees and taking toxic dumps is what hippos do, and that's what makes them crazy creatures. When you think of the most venomous animal in the world, what comes to mind? Is it the saw-scaled viper? The box jellyfish? Or maybe the Indian red scorpion?